very disappointed to discover they did not rename this event Naptown Peachy Poochie Night. Gosh darn it!
One step at a time, man.
Okay, we can start. Rather than tactical suggestions, today I wanted to share a few general themes on what it means to be a great city applied to Indianapolis. I do hope these provoke some thought and reflection, 20 seconds at least. Who here does not know what an aphorism is? Sorry, I don't have time to explain. Give people a choice between a real suburb and a city trying to act like one. People are going to choose the real thing every time. Downtown subways and Arby's ain't going to cut it, folks. You know, they're selling the same thing as the burbs, but with higher taxes, more crime, and worse schools. Don't be surprised if you don't have many takers. Give people a choice between a real big city and a small city trying to act big. People are going to choose the real big city every time. I think this is a little tougher one to take, but Indy's not Chicago, and it never will be. Sure, I'd like to see more density downtown, better transit options, but none of that is going to turn Indy into Boston. You know, if you think that some more infill on Mass Ave or something is going to make somebody out of school move to here instead of San Francisco, you're dreaming. Right? You know, it's just not feasible to recreate the large-scale 19th century urban form in Indianapolis outside of a few selected districts, nor is it really desirable. Ultimately, Indianapolis can only be a world-class city by being a world-class Indianapolis. We have to build a great city based on what we are, not what we're not. I think like a great wine, a great city has to express its terroir. As you can see, my French is no better than my Japanese. You know what? Naptown's got nothing to be ashamed of, folks. We don't have to imitate anybody else to get to the next level. Sure, let's take a look at what's going on in the world and pick the best ideas, but there's no need to copy. Instead, let's get to the point where other people are copying us. Cities like Portland and Austin were able to find their own unique path to success. I think we can do the same thing. People follow jobs, but to an even greater extent, jobs follow people. I often hear the Hoosier brain drain explained by there's no jobs here. But that reverses the cause and effect. You know, jobs are important, but I'd argue that people are more important. You know, the first thing any company asks when trying to decide where to locate is whether there's a qualified labor force out there. You can't have a life sciences industry if you don't have any life scientists. Put enough smart, talented, ambitious, creative people together, like the folks we got here in this room, for example, and good things are going to happen. We have to make people want to live here, and to make Indianapolis one of the destinations of choice for the 21st century labor force. The city looks like it doesn't care about itself. Why should you expect anyone to care to live there? I mean, like it or not, the physical appearance of a city sends a powerful message. It's like Shakespeare said, "For the apparel oft proclaims the man." What are we proclaiming? What would we like to proclaim? Let's start acting like it. You know, smart and talented people with big dreams and plans for themselves, they want to live around others that share their values, and in a city that shares the same ambition level. Indy can never win the war for talent by being a place where good enough is good enough. And you know what? Never underestimate the motivating power of excellence. You know, I think we need to lay out an ambitious vision for this city. You know, one that really can inspire a lot of excitement and create an emotional connection in the types of people we would like to attract. You know, I know a lot of you probably won't buy into this vision personally, but I think Carmel has actually done a good job of doing that. Cities are about people, not just buildings. You can't love the neighborhood if you hate the neighbors. You know, so often I hear people say things like, wow, you can rehab that building into condos, put a Starbucks on the ground floor, but it's not hard to figure out who might buy those condos or drink that Starbucks. Cities can't survive on gentrification alone. The broad community has to be a participant in its success. That's why I'm actually down on this whole notion of the creative class. I mean, it's good as far as it goes, but it's a sort of self-consciously elitist vision. Where does the working class fit into that, for example? We had something very similar to that back in the 1980s, only then we called it trickle-down economics. A great city needs great suburbs. Not popular, I know, but nobody's asking you to personally move there and even like what they represent. Right. But I happen to think places like Carmel and Zionsville are a big asset to Indy, just like Indy's a huge asset to them. In the 21st century economy, the real competition is not between Indy and Greenwood or Avon. It's between Indianapolis, Kansas City, Portland, Dallas, India, China, London, and all the other places out there. Arguing amongst ourselves is like beggars fighting over table scraps. We have to find a way to bring the central city up without tearing the suburbs down.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
There can't be a successful Indianapolis without a successful Indiana. You know, unlike New York, there's not a huge cultural gap between Indy and the rest of the state. People who live here are Hoosiers, and believe it or not, I think it's a source of strength, not weakness. It's part of that unique character in which we'd have to build our own greatness. I think a world-class Indianapolis would be a world-class Hoosier city. But while Indy has 25% of the state's population, it has 60% of the state's population growth and 80% of its economic growth. That's not healthy. Like it or not, we're dependent on the state for critical infrastructure funds and other things. So our challenge is to figure out how to bring the rest of the state along with us. I'll get that in. So many places are pale shadows of their far faded glory. You know, but you know, you look at it, Detroit is imploded. Cleveland went from 5th largest city in America to the 39th. You know, even Chicago is not even the 2nd city anymore. You know, no matter what these places do, they're never going to be what they used to be. But Indianapolis has never been a bigger, more important, more influential city in America and the world than it is today. No, these other places, you know, are still, you know, trying to basically turn around failure. We're like a rocket ship that's still on the way up. I think that makes a big difference. I mean, I think it makes a really big difference. Because if you take a city like Indy that's still on the way up, and you lay out a bold and ambitious agenda, you know, one that is based on our own unique character, that embraces the whole community and state, I think that can be a formidable force in the 21st century. And I think we got all the ingredients we need to really take the next step up and claim our rightful place as the next great American city. So Indianapolis, this is our time. Thanks a lot.